What's up, guys? Today we are going to be talking about Superman, which is the first film in the DCU. Notice how I said film, because there was already a TV show called Creature Commandos, which was good.
I mean, it's alright,
I gotta admit, I was slightly disappointed with Creature Commandos. It felt like they needed way longer to tell their story. Like, each episode was only 20 minutes, and I feel like they just needed way longer. But I guess Creature Commandos isn't the first TV show if you include Peacemaker Season 1, which, since it's getting a Season 2, is it slightly canon? Maybe? But if you include Peacemaker, do you include the Suicide Squad? So in that case, it would be the second film and the fourth project in the DCU? Okay, this is getting way too complicated. Let's just try this again. Superman is the first film in the DCU meant to be in the DCU. I guess, unless James Gunn has been cooking all this up in his head for a while now. If you don't know who James Gunn is, he is the enemy of the Zack Snyder fans. But James Gunn is also the recent co-head of DCU, along with Peter Safran. James Gunn wrote and directed Guardians of the Galaxy along with the Suicide Squad. And personally, I think James Gunn has a pretty good track record because Guardians of the Galaxy is the best MCU trilogy, in my opinion, and the Suicide Squad is one of the best superhero films, in my opinion. And guess what? It's just my opinion. And if you disagree with it, I will fight you right here, right now. By the way, I'm joking. I don't like getting in fights because I probably lose them. So please don't fight me. Please. Anyway, if you're wondering why I'm yapping so much about this James Gunn guy, well, it's because he recently wrote and directed Superman. And honestly, I think Superman is pretty good. However, I do think this is the first film in a while to truly divide me. Because the critic side of me thought it was super messy because the character development was very lackluster. But the comic fan side of me was just so happy to finally have a comic accurate Superman, you know? One that doesn't kill people. And since I can't really decide which side to listen to for this video, I'm just going to split this video into two parts. Part 1 being my comic side and part 2 being my critic side. Now, shall we begin?
3, 2, 1, go!
Superman is one of the best adaptations for Superman ever. He is near perfect. He is just so fun. There's a part where he goes out of his way to save a squirrel, and that's awesome because it shows he finds all living things just as beautiful. His love for Earth and for life just shines so brightly, and it's been so long since I've seen a Superman like this. And it's just been way too long since I've seen a superhero film that felt like it was ripped right out of a comic book. But it's not just Superman that was perfectly cast, but Lois, Lex Luthor, even Jimmy and Guy Gardner were perfectly casted. Low-key though, when I went to this film, I wasn't expecting that good of casting choices. Like when I saw the casting originally, I had my doubts. I had a lot of doubts. However, James Gunn or whoever was doing the casting actually cooked. Like, I know I keep on using this phrase, but everyone in this film felt like they were ripped straight out of a comic book, and I just love that. And Superman and Lois's dynamic was just top notch. It was really good. But I'm just so happy we finally got a superhero film that felt like a superhero film. The only complaint I would have would be that I wanted to see more of Clark Kent. We mainly only saw him as Superman, and I think it would have humanized him a lot more if we saw him more as Clark. Also, the fight scenes are just wonderful. Along with the flying scenes, when he's flying it just looks epic. I'm pretty sure they got the people from Top Gun to do it. Correct me if I'm wrong in the comments, but I'm pretty sure they did. And I think that's why they just look so good and so amazing. Like when you're in the theater watching it, you feel like you're going fast with him. Usually when a superhero flies, you no longer get like that fastness feel, you know? But you felt like he was going fast. I don't know, I just thought the fight scenes were epic. They were really well done. And I also thought the flying scenes were really cool. You know, I'm just so happy to see where the DCU is go. Superman is good. I liked it. I'm kind of disappointed though. I don't believe this is going to be James Gunn's best superhero work, but also not his worst. I would say it's above Creature Commandos, but below Peacemaker. Peacemaker was great, by the way. I feel like this film has a great deal of spectacle, which is good, especially for a superhero film. We need that. We've lost that for the past couple of years. But it doesn't feel like it has a lot of substance. And what I mean by that is it doesn't seem to dive super deep into the characters. Which is honestly such a shame because with Guardians of the Galaxy and the Suicide Squad, we know James Gunn can handle a multitude of characters. But in Superman, it feels like it struggles diving into Superman's and Lois's relationship. Like Lois mentions how she plans to break up with Clark, but I feel not enough time was given to develop that more. So at the end, when they are in love again, it feels kind of random in a way, or rather, it doesn't feel earned. Even Superman's character felt like he could use a bit more dimensions, you know? He's better than whatever Zack Snyder was doing, but it still feels like we can dig deeper into the character, you know? But since we're talking about developing all the characters fully, even though the film didn't fully pull that off, I found all the characters to be so fun though. Like Jimmy was getting some good chuckles out of me, and everyone in the newsroom felt ripped straight out of a cartoon. This whole world felt so fleshed out, and I want to spend more time there. And I know, I seem like such a broken record, but I just wish the characters were fleshed out in the same way as the world was. Because I can guarantee you, if as much thought was put into developing the characters as developing the world, the characters would be so much more deep and in depth. And I feel like they could develop them more in future installments, but right now they all feel kind of shallow. And I know that all the characters are super cartoonish, so that's why they're shallow. But I feel like there can be really good cartoonish characters that can be super deep and emotional and have more dimensions, you know? And I feel like being cartoonish or comic bookish doesn't inherently make a character shallow. I don't know, I feel like you can still have more of that cartoonish fun you would normally have in a character, but still mix it with some deeper, more dimensional, basically. Just make them more dimensional. Does that make any sense at all, or maybe I'm just going completely crazy, who knows? I also feel like just 20 minutes added on to the runtime for the audience to have a breath and to flesh out all 2 million characters in this would have helped a lot. And to be honest, I wish there was a bit less characters because it did feel really overcrowded. But I feel like there were some characters who added to my enjoyment of this film. For example, Mr. Terrific was, shall we say, terrific? I don't know, I was just so excited for this film, so it feels weird tearing it apart this much. I feel like this film would have been better if they weren't planning a whole universe. I honestly feel like James Gunn just got too ahead of himself in this. This film is not bad by any means, but I definitely left the film hoping they could improve in the films that follow this. However, one thing that I liked in this film is it balances its cartoonish sides with its darker sides. Because there's this really dark scene that involves Lex Luthor, spoilers kind of, you know Lex Luthor is a bad guy, but he does some dark things in this. He does some pretty evilish deeds, you know? So this film isn't afraid to go to dark places, it seems, but there are lighter parts as well. And I just love how this film kind of balances those two. You can be gasping in shock of what you just saw, but then you could be laughing at a couple monkeys if you see the movie, it makes sense, a moment later. And all in all, this film just left me with a smile on my face. I'm definitely not worried about the future of the DCU anymore, though I have had my doubts, but I think this film is a sign that the DCU can work. I also hope this film is a sign that superhero films shouldn't be afraid to be comic booky, you know? And I feel like this film was comfortable in its own skin, and it fleshed out some really creative ideas. For example, I really liked how the Justice Game was sponsored. I don't think that's a spoiler, I think it says that in the synopsis or the trailers. The Justice Game is sponsored, sorry for that mild spoiler. But this film just has so many amazing ideas that I don't really see any modern superhero films having. I feel like modern superhero films either take themselves too seriously, or when they do tend to lean to the more comic book side, they go super self-aware and kind of ruin my enjoyment. I just want to watch two super-powered beings fight, without them being oh, This is so cringe, isn't it? Let's throw in a couple of screaming goats. And there's something I like to think of like the Deadpoolification of like the superhero genre, because after Deadpool did really well, it kind of felt like, oh, every superhero movie just has to be like, oh, this is kind of crazy to the audience. I don't know, chat. I think I'm going off topic. I think I lost the plot. Where was I? Oh yeah, how this film actually feels more comfortable in its own skin than other superhero films. So in a sense, I appreciate this movie more than I like it. In a critical sense, by the way. I love this film in a comic book sense. In a comic book fan sense, I think this is going to be the best film on God's green earth for a while, okay? So please, if you haven't seen this movie, go see it, because it's honestly worth it, despite my negative reviews. Don't expect it to be the best film of all time, but if you're a comic book fan like me, I bet you will just have a blast watching this movie, because I sure did. So in conclusion, what shall I give this film out of 10? This movie brings the comics to life in such a vibrant and fun way, but suffers when it actually comes to character development. So I shall give this film a 6 out of 10. Thank you so much for watching. Please like and subscribe. Now all we need is for Fantastic Four to be good. You know what? Screw you guys. This is my channel. Superman gets an 8 out of 10. Okay, I love it. I'm sorry to my critic side, but I think it's okay to have fun every once in a while, okay? Anyway, I hope Fantastic Four shall be fantastic. Thank you for watching. Please like and subscribe and comment your thoughts down below. Bye.